Okay, Nathan.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how are you?
Doing all right. How are you?
Great, great, great. So first of all, congratulations on your eighth studio album. Are you guys already ready to play it live on a real concert with a full crowd?
Yeah, we are very excited to get to play these songs live when we finally get to. We made the record in 2019, so we had to basically sit on the record for all of last year. And it finally came out a few weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of time on our hands to sit here and get excited about getting out there and playing these live for sure.
Sure, sure, sure. So let's talk about releasing an album during this pandemic, because for many artists, they had their music ready on 2020, but they were waiting for the right time to release those records. So you had this new music already before this pandemic, but can you walk us through all the discussions on when was the right time to release this new album?
Yes, like I said, we had done it in 2019. So right when we were just about to release a single, all of this happened. The pandemic hit and everything kind of shut down, and or everything did shut down. And so we had to have a conversation that we've never really had before, which was shutting down the whole process halfway through, which you usually write the record, record the record, you do press, and then you tour that record. Then you take a little break, and then you do it again. So for this record, for us to have to stop right after recording the record and not knowing when that music was going to come out was very confusing for all of us. First and foremost, we were all worried about, our health and our family health and our fans around the world and everyone. We understood why everything had to be shut down and why everything had to be put on hold, but we wanted to make sure that we did it in the right way and for the right reasons. And that took us realizing that we were going to have to take a step back for a minute and stop the process where it was at and kind of reconvene on what the new normal was going to be and what the future was going to be. And so I think a lot of bands had to sit back and just kind of wait and see what everybody else was going to do before they did it. You kind of had to wait for that first band to be the first one to kind of take the plunge, as you say. So yeah, it was a crazy time for not only our band, but for all bands. I mean, I can't imagine how many records are going to come out this next year just because bands had so much time on their hands to write and create and record. So it's going to be a busy year for music once it starts back up, touring especially.
Sure. Do you already have plans on when you're gonna start touring again?
We have like some loose plans, like loose routing of if things go the way we hope they will, then there are some shows that hopefully potentially could happen later on this year. But we're still kind of in the phase of you gotta go kind of week to week of how things go. Certain countries are open, certain countries are shutting back down. Here in America, some states you have to wear a mask in, some states you don't. So there's a lot of logistics you have to get around to get the touring in place the way you want it to be. But we definitely have target dates in mind that we hope we can start playing shows by for sure.
Sure, sure, sure. And what is Southern rock or the Southern sound? How would you describe it for someone who's not familiar with the uh, music geography of the United States?
Let's see. Southern rock would be, I'd say it became very popular with bands like Leonard Skinner, the Allman Brothers, To me, Southern rock was just the kind of music that you got when you just got guys together, gave them an instrument, whichever one could play their instrument the best, and that's just the kind of music that came out. And for us early on, being from the South, being from Tennessee, we got a lot of questions about our Southern rock sound and if it was intentional and what bands, if we were trying to sound like Leonard Skinner or bands like that. And those people had no idea, but growing up, we weren't allowed to listen to any of that kind of music. So we had never heard that music before. So when our band came out and people started making comparisons to us and other bands, they were very surprised when we were like, well, we've actually never heard that band before. And they could not believe that we had such a natural, early on especially. I don't think now we're not, I wouldn't consider us Southern rock anymore, but early on for sure. And I think that was just a product of where we were raised, how we grew up. And like I said, just you pick up whatever instrument you know how to play, and that becomes your instrument, and you try to become the best at that instrument.
Great, great. So Kings of Leon were part of the 21st century bands that put rock back on the map and had major success. But do you still feel like the latest generation of rock bands, or do you feel you're getting closer to being part of rock tradition?
Well, me, I'm in my 40s now, so I'm the old man in the group. So I might feel differently than the other guys. But we were so fortunate that when we came out, there were amazing bands like the Strokes and the White Stripes and bands like that were already out there that we got to play festivals with and tour with and, kind of learn from them. And that was so fun early on because, the life we had lived before this, we had never experienced any of that stuff, partying or any of that. So for us early on, that was a blast. And then we toured with bands like Pearl Jam and U2 and older bands like that. And it was that point in our career where we kind of had to make the choice of like, okay, we can continue where we're at right now and just stay at this level and party as long and as hard as we can and, do this until it runs out. Or we could approach it more as, this could be a career. Like at that time in our career, if you would have told us, yeah, y'all are going to make at least 8 albums, we would have been like, there's no way we're going to make 8 albums. Just because of the lifestyle we were living at the time. But there did come a point in our career where we did sit down and consciously made the choice that we wanted this to be our career and we wanted to make a living doing this. And we knew that we could, if we, practiced hard enough and focused, on the songwriting and on how the records were put together and the sound and all of that stuff. So to answer your question, we kind of got to live both of those. Early on, we got to live the crazy lifestyle of, what music was in the early 2000s. And, now here we are 20 years later and we're still doing it. And the great thing about it is we're still having fun doing it, which is, I don't think a lot of people could say that after being together for 20 years that you're still having fun. But this was definitely the funnest record, I would say, the most fun we've had making a record by far. And I don't think a lot of bands would be able to say that, 8 records in or 20 years after their first.
Sure. So what is your opinion on music industry in 2021? Do you think it's the environment for a Kings of Leon song to have a major success like you did with Sex on Fire or Use Somebody?
Yeah. I mean, there's always the potential for a song to become popular and take off and become huge. I mean, to be honest with you, when we wrote Sex on Fire and You Somebody, like when you record a song, there are certain songs that feel special to you and you're like, yeah, this has potential to be something big. But up until that point, we had never really had a big song. So we didn't really know what it was like to have a big song. So when we wrote Sex on Fire and You Somebody, it wasn't like we were like, oh yeah, there we go. That's our smash hits right there. Like you really don't know until it comes out and then you see how people respond and react to it. So I will say in today's musical world, there's potential for anyone to have a huge song. I mean, I think it's so much easier nowadays because kids can make music on their computer and then they can release it online and they don't need what they used to have back in the old days was, you know, you had to get a manager and a lawyer and a record label and all of this stuff. And nowadays it's, you know, you have rappers that release a mixtape online that sells 1 million copies. So yes, there's definitely the potential to have success on this record, I believe, for us. And I think it also helps us out that, you know, rock and roll has kind of, you know, taken a back seat a little bit here lately to other styles and genres of music. So I think now, especially coming out of a pandemic where everyone's been stuck at home and no one's been able to go out and go to shows and stuff like that, I think this is a great opportunity for rock and roll to make a comeback here and to become what it once was, which was that release of being able to go to a show and just not caring what anybody thinks about you, how you look, how you dance, how you're singing, crying, slobbering, spitting, whatever you want to do. Like, I think we, you know, the world has missed that, not only during this pandemic, but the last few years, the world has missed, you know, rock and roll. And that's not to say there aren't great rock bands still out there still doing it. There are plenty, but I think this is a great opportunity for rock bands to kind of take the reins back and, you know, kind of reclaim our place on the musical landscape.
Great, great, great. So you have toured South America since 2005, when you played Argentina and Chile. So I was wondering, did you get to know anything about South American or Latin American culture, maybe something about South American or Latin American music during those trips?
Let's see. During those trips, probably not. Only because 2005, we were partying very hard back then. We definitely, I would say we definitely got to experience the culture as far as going out, like the nightlife. And we just so happened to be there when everyone was rehearsing for Carnival. And I guess it's where each town like has their rehearsal with their drums and all that stuff. So we did get to experience that. I remember that was very fun. Being a drummer, that was just amazing to me, seeing so many people playing, you know, percussive instruments. But I am very much looking forward to getting back there now, just because it will be a lot easier to, I think, immerse ourselves into the culture and be a little more present and, you know, not so focused on, you know, partying as much, but getting more culture out of where we tour for sure. But I will say South America, we absolutely love and cannot wait to get back there. I promise you.
Great, great. Really looking forward to see you live in Lima, Peru. So, is there something you would like to add, or there's something left to talk about that you would like your audience to realize or to comprehend about Kings of Leon?
Yeah, I would just say that we miss our fans. You know, it's this has been so tough. I can't imagine how hard it's been for the fans to not be able to go to concerts and have that release. And just for them to know that, you know, Kings of Leon, we're sitting here right there with them, like just heartbroken that we haven't been able to you know, stay connected with them through live music like we normally have. But, you know, I hope that this new record coming out will definitely, you know, be enough to tide them over until we can get back and play for them live. But yeah, I just want them to know that thank you very much for sticking with us. You know, South Americans have always been some of our biggest fans, and some of our biggest shows are always there. And yeah, we love you guys and can't wait to get back to see you. And hopefully it'll be sooner than later.
Great, great, great. Well, thank you very much, Nathan, for your time and especially for the music. And I think we made it.
Awesome. All right, my man. Well, thank you very much. And hopefully we will see you here before too long.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Nathan, if you could just stay on the line, I'll connect you to your next call.